Spring is spectacular here at Brook Green Gardens. We'll tell you all about it coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're on the patio of the Holiday Cottage at Brook Green Gardens, which was again recently voted by Southern Living Readers as one of the top 3 gardens in the South. And we're visiting with Roblin Salmon, the Vice President and Curator of Sculpture. Good morning again, Robin.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for coming back this week. It was great having you in on Monday to kick off the week.
That was fun.
And to think about all your involvement here at Brook Green Gardens. When did you join Brook Green Gardens, Robin?
I started in 1975. So that was a little while ago.
28 years ago.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's a very long tenure with the same group.
Exactly. But this is such an unusual organization. I never felt the need to go elsewhere to keep changing the career because Brook Green is diverse.
One of the things I meant to ask somebody earlier in the week, Robin, but didn't, is Brook Green Gardens a National Historic Landmark?
Yes, it is. I'm glad you asked me that. Brook Green became a National Historic Landmark in 1992, and a lot of people would think that that has to do with the rice fields or the history prior to Brook Green Gardens, but it's actually because of the significance of the sculpture collection and the importance of Anna Hyatt Huntington as an artist and as a patron of the arts. And then the final piece of that relates to the fact that there are so many women sculptors represented in the Brook Green collection. So this is a National Historic Landmark because it's an important site for women's history in America.
Is that right?
Little known fact.
So for all the National Historic Landmarks around the country, oftentimes they're broken down into different reasons why they would get that landmark status?
That's correct.
And because of the women's significance here, that has a big part to do with it.
It does. But Anna Hyatt Huntington was responsible for all of it.
That's fantastic. In addition to the responsibilities we talked about on Monday, so much involved wearing so many hats 28 years ago and expanding even more hats over the last 28 years. But can we talk about the Center for American Sculpture, which is dear and true to you?
Yes, this is a relatively new name for an aspect of something that Brook Green's been doing for many years, and that's the programming. We've talked before about our collection, our exhibiting and documenting. This is the actual program that we present. And the Center for American Sculpture, with that title, you would think it's not just for the casual visitor to Brook Green. It is for the professional artist or the very serious beginner or amateur, for collectors, for other museum curators, scholars in American art history.
Okay. How did the Center for American Culture begin?
Well, it actually is the brainchild of our president, Lawrence Henry, and it struck him that Brook Green had been providing all of this information to the visiting public and to special researchers for so many years that it really needed to have a more special kind of label attached to it that would identify the significance of the holdings that we have here. There is a marvelous library and archives. We've been offering classes in drawing, painting, and sculpture techniques for a number of years. And now we are focusing on master classes for serious artists and professional artists, along with symposia and sculptor in residence program.
That's fantastic. Who would be some of the folks that would attend the programs offered at the center?
Well, they come from across the country. And that actually surprised me. For the very first year, last year, in our master classes, we had participants from Colorado, New Mexico, Washington State, New York, Michigan, as well as, of course, a concentration within the Southeast. But it's a number of professional artists actually came as students to be in our master classes, which, of course, were taught by professional artists, including people like Sigmund Abeles, who did a portrait class in pastel. He's one of the foremost realist artists working today. We had Carter Jones teach a class, and he's one of the foremost medallic artists today. Rosie Sandifer, Sandy Scott, they're all represented in the Brook Green collection.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Golly, Robin. How are the costs associated with the program covered? Or is there a tuition charge?
There is a tuition for the classes and, of course, a fee for symposia that we offer. But the primary, the operating expenses for this program is funded by a grant from the Keenan Foundation. And that allows us to bring in these top name artists and to make our facilities better for scholars and researchers to come here and utilize what we have to offer. And of course the website will figure in a big way into spreading that information into a different realm.
That's www.brookgreen.org?
That's correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Have you begun thinking about the classes that are planned for this year's program?
Yes. This year we are offering 4 classes. We're, of course, already well into March, so the first one will begin in May. All of the classes are linked in 2003 to the Sculptor in Residence program. So the first Sculptor in Residence is Garland Weeks from Lubbock, Texas, and he will be here for 4 weeks and will also teach a class in problem solving in sculpture design, which is a hot topic if you're an artist, trying to get that composition correct. And for Garland, who is also an art historian, he will utilize the Brook Green collection as a teaching tool. So a good hour and a half to 2 hours each day of the class will be spent in the gardens looking at our sculpture collection.
How exciting.
And referencing it. And then participants will come back and work on their own sculpture the rest of the day. The second residency is in July with Barbara Leckberg from New York City. Barbara has been a professional sculptor for over 50 years, and she's doing a critique as her class so that participants will bring works in progress and will have the benefit of her vast experience in talking about what they're doing with their particular pieces. And the last residency is in November with Tuck Langland from Indiana University. He will teach a class in portraiture and sculpture. We'll utilize the collection as well. Lecture is a very big part of his classes, as well as hands-on modeling. And then his wife, Janice Langland, who is also connected with Indiana University, will teach a class in the business of being an artist, which will help artists with marketing, with resumes, record keeping, all of the things that we don't always think of an artist having to know, but you know, when you earn a living that way, you've got to have these skills and this specific knowledge. And
a class like that would be taught not only for sculptors, but for all artists.
That's correct.
Great.
That's correct.
But the other three instructional efforts will be done by folks that are focused almost exclusively on sculpting?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And in Garland's case, beginner through advanced students are allowed to attend. With Barbara, it's intermediate and advanced students, and the same with Tuck Langland's class.
Ronald, what was the motivation behind the creation of the American Sculpture Library?
Well, that actually was an offshoot of Archer Huntington's personal library at Atalaya, the home that they built here to use as a winter space. He had a vast collection there, And when the Huntingtons decided to no longer use Adelia as a residence, that library was moved here to Brook Green in our office space, and it's grown through the years. In addition to the library books, we have a vast archive on American figurative sculpture that dates back to the beginning of the 20th century, and I'm still adding to it.
Well, that's great. Now, who would be some of the people that would primarily utilize the research materials that are housed in the library?
Well, we have people who are writing theses and dissertations on the subjects of American sculpture, or on individual artists. Museum curators, of course, are constantly calling for information about our collection and also about the artists represented in the collection. We have people who are writing books, wanting to do research with us, and then collectors of American sculpture also call for information on a regular basis.
And Robin, you're pretty involved hands-on in updating the information?
Yes, yes.
You are a busy camper. I don't know how you do all this. We think about 28 years ago, all the hats you were wearing, and obviously over time. Obviously, there's some viewers who may not have caught you on Monday, Robin. And can I just ask you real quick, you grew up in South Carolina?
Yes.
Went to school
Columbia.
and went to USC?
Yes.
You later went off to school at University of California at Berkeley?
Yes.
What did you study there?
That was the Museum Management Institute, which is offered to upper-level museum professionals.
Right.
And it was one of the best experiences of my life.
And that really set the stage for you to be able to make the transition back to South Carolina and here to a true jewel of the Southeast. Oh
yes, well I never left South Carolina though. Berkeley was just a brief interlude. Happy to come back to South Carolina.
Okay. Absolutely. What do you think is the most rewarding part of your experience with the Center for American Sculpture, Robin?
Well, obviously meeting the artists and working with the visiting public. Those are the two high points of my job here.
We've been told, viewers, that the racetrack, which was recognized this weekend with 100,000 plus folks up in Darlington in our viewing area, is the jewel of the Southeast. But if you've been here all week visiting with us and stay with us tomorrow here at Brook Green Gardens in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, 9,000 acres, of which I think Robin said 350 acres are utilized on a regular basis, you'd recognize this as the true jewel of the Southeast. Robin Salmon, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're on the patio of the Holiday Cottage at Brook Green Gardens. We're visiting with Helen Benso, the Vice President for Marketing. Good morning, Helen. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
It's my pleasure, Greg.
Incredible.
Thanks for having me.
All week highlighting Brook Green Gardens. We have the thrill coming up to Thursday here to kick it off on St. Patrick's Day with Robin and George. The excitement is built up all week as we get closer to the Southern Living Gardening School this Saturday.
That's exciting. Saturday is one of our top days out of the whole year, and we're so excited to host that gardening school again with Southern Living.
And George was saying that it is, I think he said there are 3 sessions. Of course, the gates open at 8:45 Saturday
Correct.
morning.
They open early.
They open early. So what time do the gates normally open, Helen?
Normally we open at 9:30 every morning.
Okay. And that's Monday through Sunday.
Monday through
7
Sunday,
days a week.
7 days a week.
But this Saturday, y'all will be opening at 8:45 to let in the flood of folks that will be coming in for the gardening school. George also pointed out that it's free.
It is free. The Southern Living Gardening School is free. Now, there is an admission price into Brook Green.
Right.
That's $12 for adults. Children 12 and under are always free. And then teenagers, 13 to 18, are $10, and then seniors are $10 as well. But to all the members who come here and have unlimited visits, it's totally free to them, which is an incredible value. There are some gardens. There are eight Southern Living Gardening Schools being held this year, and some of the gardens are charging as much as $40 for their members to come. So,
oh my God.
So we're real pleased to offer this to our members and to our visiting guests.
A very, very special opportunity. Helen, can we talk about yourself? Are you originally from the area?
I am. I'm from Horry County. I was born in Loris, and then when I was really small, we moved to North Carolina, and I actually grew up in North Carolina, but came back to school here in high school, and graduated high school here, and went away to college and stayed away for a long time, maybe 20 years or so.
Ooh, 20. Yeah, Helen.
But I moved back in 1992, and my family's here, my mom's here, my sister's here, my brother, aunts, uncles. We've been here for many, many generations, and it's good to come home.
Where did you work following graduation, Helen?
Well, I went to school in Miami at Florida International University.
Right.
And after I graduated, I stayed in Miami for about 5 years. And I worked at the Doral Country Club there for all the golfers out there who really like the Blue Monster. That was fun. And I also worked at the Sonesta Beach Hotel. That's another large resort that's out on Key Biscayne in Florida. And from there, went to Nashville, Tennessee, and stayed in Tennessee for about 7 years, still in the hotel business, and then came back here, and I taught at Horry Georgetown Tech and their hospitality management program for a while, and then worked most recently before Brook Green for a local hotel company. They had about eight hotels here in Myrtle Beach, and I was their corporate marketing director. So.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You said you came back in '92, and how long have you been at Brook Green Gardens?
Just 1 year. As a matter of fact, I think today is my first-year anniversary.
Is that right?
Yes.
The 20th?
Yes.
That's spectacular.
I got here right before the Southern Living Gardening School last year, so I'm real excited to be here. It's a wonderful place.
And the position as Vice President of Marketing entails what exactly, Helen?
Well, I do all of the visitor guides, the brochures, the ads that we place, the press releases, twice a year for our member publications we do a newsletter, and then twice a year we produce a really full color magazine type publication called the Brook Green Journal, and we do that twice a year. So we do a lot.
The annual report comes out in one of those Brook Green journals.
It does indeed. It comes out in the summer journal.
Where do the bulk of the visitors to Brook Green come from?
Well, our visitors are sort of divided, kind of half and half. Part of them are visitors and guests. Those are the folks that pay at the gate, basically, with the admission. And then another large percentage of the guests here are members. The visitors, not the members. Most of the members are pretty much from around this area. We have some all over the country, but I'd say probably 80% of the members are within Horry and Georgetown County, certainly. But the visitors, on the other hand, are primarily tourists. Probably 90% of them are tourists coming in for weekends at the beach or a week-long vacation in Polly's Island or whatever. And many of them, Greg, have been coming back year after year after year. I have a little visitor survey that I give people when they come in at the gate. And one of the questions is, how many times have you been to Brook Green Gardens? I can't tell you how many of them say 20 plus, or ever since I was a little girl, or 7 or 8 or whatever. It just goes on and on. It's really nice to read their comments too.
I'm sure. That's a great idea, Helen. When you think about a target audience, oftentimes for any business or any corporation, any structure, they're oftentimes focused on a target audience. Can you gauge who do you think you're primarily focused on, trying to get in to visit Brook Green Gardens even for the first time?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. I'd say that anyone who is interested in history, who's interested in the outdoors, the animal life, the native animals we have, and now the domestic animals we're adding. People who are interested in art and the sculpture or horticulture. That's part of George White's domain there. But mostly people who just enjoy the outdoors, who want to come and get that sense of tranquility and just want to get away for a little bit and see a place that is very unique in this area, I'd have to say.
Helen, I think you described the visitors to Brook Green Gardens, and you were laying out the membership of Brook Green Gardens. Did you say they're mostly from around the area?
Most of them are. Now, we have lots of members that go throughout the country. Because we're in a resort destination here, a lot of people have second homes. Lots of people have second homes, all in Myrtle Beach, the Grand Strand, and Pawleys Island, and Walk My Neck, or whatever you want to call it. But they do, and a lot of those people, once they come to Brook Green, and they know that they're coming back here, several times a year, go ahead and just join as a family member, which is another one of those, what I think is an incredible value. Again, being a marketing person, it's $75 a year, and you and your whole family can come every single day, twice a day, if you want to. And apart from the admission price, which is also extremely reasonable, all of the tickets are good for 7 days. So if you're a tourist and you're down here visiting, whether it's a long weekend or a week-long family vacation, you can come back to Brook Green. You buy one ticket and you can come back as many times as you want during that 7-day period.
I didn't know that. That's great to know.
It's part of our mission. We don't charge necessarily because we're nonprofit. We're not really trying to make money on it. We're just trying to preserve Brook Green for the future generations, and that's another reason why the kids are always free.
Absolutely, and to be able to offer the Southern Living Gardening School this Saturday for free, other than paying the admission to get in if you're a visitor and a non-member. That's a spectacular offer. When you think about your members and visitors and their crucial role in Brook Green Gardens' future, why are they so crucial?
The members because we're, as I said before, we're nonprofit, but we're also self-supported. We don't receive any government funding, and so they really play a vital part in Brook Green. We have the admissions, we have memberships, and then we also have keepsakes, which is the Brook Green shop. It's a gift shop. And then we have a couple of food outlets that when you're here, you can go ahead and have lunch or grab a snack or something. And as a matter of fact, I brought this book from Keepsakes. It's a new cookbook on gala cooking. And in there, Veronica Gerald actually wrote the cookbook, and she was one of the ladies who starred in our play last summer, one of the dramas that we had last summer. It's called When I Just Can Remember, and it was taken from some slave narratives that had actually lived on Brook Green Plantation. And Veronica and her family have lived in this area, and actually her mother grew up on Brook Green. So they have a whole lot of old historic recipes, and it's just a fabulous book. One of the things that's in there is the Brook Green pound cake that I brought in for you all to taste.
Yes, we will enjoy that
afterwards.
For breakfast. That's a great idea.
But that's just another way that we try to earn money and support ourselves. We do it through memberships, through admissions, through purchases that you make at Keepsakes and in the restaurant.
How important are volunteers to Brook Green Gardens, Helen?
I'm so glad you asked me that, especially since this is Carolina People, and it's about the people. And we have probably the best group of people in the world here in Brook Green volunteering. They are people who, it's several hundred of them. The numbers fluctuate a little here and there, and so I'm not going to pick a certain number, but literally hundreds of people who donate their time to Brook Green, and they do everything. Every job, from working in the garden to being interpreters along the Low Country Trail. They take classes and become docents for Roblin sculpture tours and sculpture-focused tours. They work behind the scenes in human resources and marketing and communications. They, I could just go on and on. I'm not even going to begin to try to name all of them because I'd leave someone out and I wouldn't want to do it, but they're an incredible group of people. We would not be the same institution without them.
Volunteers make so much for a nonprofit, absolutely. Helen, for viewers never visited Brook Green Gardens, if up in Laurinburg or Lumberton or Hartsville or even here on the Strand, if they've never visited Brook Green Gardens, what would you say is one of the primary reasons someone would need to visit for the first time?
I'd say if they have any interest in the history of this area and in seeing one of the most beautiful, just from a botanical aspect, one of the most beautiful places in this whole country, and then set amidst that is the sculpture collection. It's just an incredible place. You wouldn't want to miss it.
You heard Helen Benso say it. It's just an incredible place. You wouldn't want to miss it. And we've felt that all week long. And we'll feel it this weekend if you're down for the Southern Living Gardening School. Thank you so much, Helen, for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Greg.
Come on out this Saturday and stay tuned for more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank all the staff and volunteers here at Brook Green Gardens for making today's Carolina People so special. And come on out this Saturday, March 22nd, gates open at 8:45, rain or shine, the Southern Living Gardening School.